we're down to just 2 players with a bomb down.
Falsely finding 3, 4. Will we see the ace from Falsey this round?
Welcome to Showstopper, BU Gaming Club's collegiate Valorant podcast. I am your host, Gabriel Moncau, and we are so excited for today's episode. We have not one, not two, but three, two guests, really. One of them is the returning co-host. I need to really stop calling you a guest, Phillip, or like my trusty co-host, because I've watched back some of the episodes, and I do that almost every single time, across like multiple shows, too. So I need to start figuring something new to call you, something else.
So I've noticed.
Do you have any recommendations? What should I call you today?
Sir Phillip or something.
Sir Phillip,
really
number one sentinel in the region, and by the region I mean the B
This
team.
dorm.
Yeah, that dorm. Probably true. And the actual special guests are Mr. Dariy, who is a returning guest. He was with us on our first episode. I don't remember what we talked about. I think it was like sentinels and stuff. How Cypher
Sage
sucked.
nerfs.
Oh, Sage. Yeah. Oh wow, that was a long time ago. Yeah. Yep. And we have a new guest, Mr. Jason Ham Escalera. What do I even call you on the A team? You're like a Phoenix Killjoy main, that classic combo. So, welcome.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And today we have, honestly, this might be our most content-packed episode I think that we've ran so far. And we don't have that much time to go through it all, so I say we just jump right into it with the 2.04 patch notes. Now, this is a massive update to Valorant that dropped like a week ago. It had not only a new agent, which is itself going to be the main focus of today's show, but it also included a new battle pass, the new act, and a couple of miscellaneous changes here and there, and some new skins as well. The only one we really care about out of all that is the new agent and maybe the new act. But, we'll hear from the grindmaster himself, Dariy, on how that new act impacted his abilities. So Phillip, do you want to run us through those patch notes as we bring them up here?
Yeah, sure. So let's take a look at the very first thing that we've got going on here. It's Astra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We can just briefly look over
New
Astra.
agent.
Let's come back to her a bit later because
All right.
I have we can look at her actual reveal trailer and whatnot and talk about her abilities.
Gotcha. So we have Astra coming into the game, and also a small change to escalation in which the doors to bind are always open now, and bind is picked as evenly as every other map. Other than that, we've got some competitive updates, meaning that your rank is not reset this act. And if you are a Radiant, I believe your rank rating is reduced by 90%. And all Radiants are bumped down to Mortal, so they're going to have to grind their way back up.
Mm-hmm.
And you now only see the current rank of players after the game is done. You're also allowed to queue with a greater rank disparity in the lower ranks, but this gets stricter in the higher ranks, and you're not allowed to queue with such high rank disparities. And other than that, there's some new voice lines, if you guys have been hearing, like, spike down on C, like, attacker enemy spawn or something like that.
Okay, that's the most gameplay intensive change out of everything we just mentioned, and my take on that is that it's just really annoying. Like, I have eyes. I can see where the spike is down. Thanks, though.
I don't have eyes, and I play with the silver team, so it's kind of useful.
I guess
it
is
also
nice if
gets in the way. Yeah, if the spike just gets dropped in some random place where it's easy to miss, it's one of those edgy cases.
I wouldn't mind making it toggleable. Like, I can definitely see players that might. Is it not toggle? I thought it wasn't toggle. It is. It's gone by this afternoon on mine, but we'll see. But yeah, no. And then as you mentioned, there's some competitive changes here too. None of this is too impactful. I guess they're just nice little changes here and there. I think definitely for the lower ranks, being able to queue up to like bronze 3 or silver 3, iron 3 rather. It's I don't think it impacts as much. And then on the high end, bumping down all the radiance. I guess that's part of their response for people like naming their alt accounts Bucky to Radiant and then actually making it top 30 on the leaderboard. That's their attempt at getting rid of those people. Do we think that's going to work? My take is no.
No more Wardell's 5th account has made it to Radiant.
I think
YouTube.
it'll just get back there, honestly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just a temporary patch.
I'll be one of them.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah, I'm grinding up my 4th account that just happens to be hard stuck plat 2. Don't worry about it. Anyway.
Yeah, tough luck.
And I guess with that, I don't think there's anything else that's really relevant here. We can jump into the actual big change which is
Astra.
Astra. Unless, yeah, no, we don't care about skins or anything. So I'll go ahead and bring up
Prime
her reveal
2.0,
trailer.
nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Hey, it
compared
does
to
look
Astra.
nice, but not nearly as nice as the new agent.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to hear this on figured out. But do you want to give us a quick rundown of what Astra does, basically, Phil?
Yeah, sure.
And then we can
Astra
go ability by ability.
is a controller, and it's pretty awesome. You use X to get into this like sort of like almost like godlike menu where you can place these stars anywhere on the map, and you can activate them. They do different things. So there's her Q ability called Nova Pulse that concusses the enemy. There's an E ability called Nebula that's just a smoke that gets activated. You can also press F to dissipate that smoke and like do like a very temporary smoke, and it returns the star to you. And then you have C, which is a gravity well, which pulls players to the center and then makes them vulnerable after it pops. So Astra has 5 of these stars, which means there are some pretty cool opportunities to use these abilities in different ways, depending how you're setting up those stars.
For sure. And we've just been
her
looking at
ult,
the
right?
the gameplay trailer here, and then we can go back and look at each of the abilities one by one and just, I guess, quickly show how they work, give a bit more info on them. And then I just want to kind of discuss what you guys think of Astra. There's been a lot of hot takes flying around. So that
Gotcha.
was the reveal trailer right there. That dropped a couple days before the actual agent did. Why don't we go through and look at each of her abilities here then? The first one that is shown, this doesn't count. This is fake news.
The Thanos glove ability.
I
And
wish,
there's-
man.
You can just snap and everybody's gone off the map.
2.5 players are dead from the enemy
Yeah.
team.
So
Yeah,
when we
that
talk
would be
about
a
like
sick alt.
when we talk about like her stars, right? It's those things. The thing that you see right there next to Breach, and for her to place them down, she can press X and go into a map mode like this and point literally anywhere on the map and just place down a star. It makes a sound cue, and both your teammates and the enemy can see the stars, right?
Mhm.
So if you can place them down pre-round, you can't toggle them pre-round, but if you place them down pre-round, the enemy can see it too. You can place it in their spawn if you want to, but you can see it. And she can also do a ton of cool stuff with them, not just like placing them back too. So let's look at each of the things that she does with them. This being the first, I think this is the concussion.
Yep, that's a concussion.
Yeah. So what's that actually called, Philip? I think we have it written.
It's called Nova Pulse.
Yeah, Nova Pulse. And basically what she can do is she can look at any star that she's placed down through the walls and stuff, like you saw there, and press either Q, E, or C or F to activate one of her abilities on it. So if she presses, I think it's Q for Nova Pulse, that turns it into a concussion grenade, and it'll do this little animation where it'll fly up and then drop down, and anybody within like a radius gets concussed, kind of like a Breach concuss, right? It's nice, given that they can see where the star is. I don't know how incredibly useful it is because they will expect it, unlike the Breach thing where you should have to react to. But it's there. What do you guys think? Is it a useful ability?
I think it's not as useful as the black hole pulling
Gravity
in
well,
ability.
yeah.
This mini Zarya ult of Valorant, I think that's more busted. I think they hotfixed the fact that you could pull people off of a plant.
Yes. And a defuse,
Like,
I think.
No. I think you could still pull people off defuse.
Can you really?
Yeah, but
That's
off the
stupid.
plant, you can't pull them off the plant, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the concuss is good, but it's I think her bread and butter is definitely faking a smoke and putting a black hole ability right behind it.
Yeah, I also agree. I don't like this is like it's cool, but I really don't think it's gonna add like I don't think it's gonna be definitely like I don't think it's gonna be the to go ability. Like I think her smokes and her other abilities are for sure way more valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the limited Astras I've seen, the Nova Pulse hasn't been too useful. It's pretty situational, but the Gravity Well, it's kind of insane when you just tag somebody in the body and you do 400 damage to them.
Yeah,
And I think it's definitely the more useful ability out of all of them.
For sure. And we'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, just to summarize, like I could see her replacing a lot of the other smoke characters, right? That's primarily what you do. You see an Astra, you think you don't need smokes anymore. I definitely don't think she's going to replace like a Breach just because she has this this stun. So it's like a nice little added thing on top, but definitely not her main thing. But here we see her use it to stun that guy that was defusing the bomb. Here she toggles 2 of her stars at once, and you can see that one of them turns into that concuss that we were talking about back there. Meanwhile, this one in under Hookah actually turns into the next ability, Gravity Well, which you press C to activate. What that does is, I think it lasts like maybe 3 seconds, something like that. It pulls enemies into the center. You pretty much can't escape it. I've seen Jets escape it with their dash, right? You might be able to blast pack out of it as a raise, or TP as an omen, but generally you can't escape it without some sort of ability use. And from the moment that you activate it, you are vulnerable, as long as you are in its radius. So that's pretty big. I can't. The only other thing that can make you vulnerable in the game is the Killjoy bot, right? What else?
Yep.
Can you do it? Yeah.
I'd
so
also
this
like to
is-
add, this thing could pull in your own players too.
Yes, and make them
And,
vulnerable too. Yeah.
And that happened to me a few times.
I have played at the edge of a smoke a few times with this past it with like a Bucky, and I'll try to pull them in, and then suddenly it pulls me too, and there's 3 of us hugging each other at the edge of a smoke, all vulnerable, and it's a bit of an interesting situation. But this has definitely been called one of her more controversial abilities, because not only is it the only other character but Killjoy in the game to be able to make people vulnerable, it's definitely the first character to manipulate gravity in the game. And it's really annoying if you're trying to like quickly peek an angle or something, and you just get pulled out of your angle, or you're hiding in a corner, and you get pulled out of your corner, and you're vulnerable. Because if you're not one of those characters that we mentioned that can dash out of it, for example, you are just kind of right. So we
There
see it
is
here.
definitely some
They're stuck
busted
there.
stuff that can happen. Like,
Yeah.
imagine doing that, but with a Killjoy nade or something on top of it.
That has been what I've been playing a
Super
lot.
toxic.
Is I'll play Astra and I'll try to double it up with a Killjoy, and we'll have like nades under hookah, for example, and then as they try to jump out, you can gravity well and they can't leave. It's super annoying.
Now, are they? Is it like when you get breach stunned where they can't fight, like they can't fire, like unload their shots?
No,
like
you can
it's
still
like-
shoot just fine,
Okay,
but you can't really move.
I see.
Also, I think if I'm not mistaken, Viper poison makes you vulnerable as well.
Oh,
It
does it? I guess it's like
actually.
decay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does make you vulnerable. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, but still,
But no
this
one
is
uses
definitely one of
Viper.
the newer, I guess, more high profile characters.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. Vipers, But yeah, people are really annoyed by this. Like people hate this ability, gravity well. You mentioned it earlier, Dariy, that it's definitely one of her more signature abilities alongside the smokes. So do we think it's like too good? I've seen it paired up with the Killjoy nades and it can be nasty. I've seen it just been used after a smoke. Like you can smoke off a choke point and have that after it. If they try to dash through, you can catch them with the gravity well, for example, or run through your smokes even, and they're just all dead. So what do we think? Is it reasonable?
When we played against that Immortal team, we actually played on bind, and I remember that the Astra would set up in the back left part of hookah and just pull us in when we walked up to hookah and smoke us off. And the smoke is set up in a way where the outside of it's like a brimstone smoke. Remember then when there was a glitch that you could see through the entire smoke by standing on the corner of it,
Yeah.
and then nobody can see you on the inside? Well, it's like the inverse of that. You can't see
Oh.
anything because you're on the edge of the smoke, and she can fully see your body. So I think they were abusing that to some extent.
Yeah.
I also watch, I don't know if you guys watch C9 Keo. He has a lot of these like speedrun series where he plays from silver to immortal on any given character. Right now he's doing an Astra one, and it's very interesting how he plays her, but I don't think he uses the stun very often.
Is the gravity well? Can you do that like 5 times? Because I know like she has like 5 little.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
I see.
yeah, I guess we should mention that too. You can't just like toggle all of your abilities at once. There's essentially cooldowns on them. So you can do 2 smokes at once, 1 gravity well, and 1 flash, 1 Nova pulse.
Yep.
So you could theoretically do 4 out of your 5 stars at once, or like 3, 2, 1, and then wait the cooldown. It's not that long. I mean, I think a smoke, both of them come back in like 10 seconds or something. Or like one
Yeah.
comes back in 10 seconds.
Wait, like so you have to so after you activate them or like when you place it down?
No, after you activate them.
Oh,
Like
I
the
see.
stars don't come back or anything like that. There's no cooldown on placing or taking back stars. And we'll talk about the taking back in a sec. So let's go through the rest of the abilities. So yeah, this one's kind of busted. The other thing that she does is pretty standard. You saw it there. She can turn a star into a smoke, and it looks very much like a omen smoke, as in it's hollow on the inside. So you can lurk inside of it. You can walk around it, but it lasts a lot longer. It lasts something like 20 seconds, which is akin to a brim smoke. So now we're looking at a character who has the same length of smokes as the dedicated smoker in the game. But instead of having 3, she has 5. she can take back her smokes after she's placed them, or set them up before and have them go off like as she's running, basically. And if she doesn't feel like it, she can turn them into something else, like a concuss or a gravity well, which is so. We're looking at an extremely versatile agent. I can't think of a single other agent in the game really that has this much variety in their ability. Certainly not another. What do you guys think?
I think she plays the role of a breach and a brimstone in one. The only thing she lacks is the post plant potential,
Yeah.
where she can delay, like breach can ult to delay and brimstone can ult to delay. But if she sets up a smoke, the fact that they're unbreakable makes it so that she can just stun the person on the spike whenever she wants post plant
Yeah.
and have someone else peek off her. So it gives you the versatility to run an agent like Sova or someone who might be like an extra information character instead of running a breach and brimstone, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, she doesn't have flashes, right? So I think to a certain extent, you still need sort of Phoenix, Reyna, some sort of flash.
Yeah.
But it can definitely be used for setups, like a breach might be, to like set your teammates up to like a dash in from a jet, for example, because you can just do this across the map. Yeah. And her smoke scene. So let's go on to the last thing that she has before we get it from a bit, or the last two things, I guess. I don't know if it actually shows it in. It might have done so at the start.
I think it's towards the end. The wall, you mean?
I meant the taking back the stars.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, if she places down a star, like we see here, how she goes ahead and toggles them, with like C, for example, she can instead press F on them. And in that moment when they would be blooming into like a smoke, for example, instead they'll bloom into a smoke for like a second and a half, and then it'll collapse and she'll get the star back. Now there's a cooldown after she gets the star back before she can place it again. Like 8 seconds maybe. Maybe a bit longer. But she does just get the star back. And what's really interesting about that is not only the flexibility that it gives you, but since the enemy can see stars before the round starts, or even during the round, you can use that for fakes, right? So you can set up like 3 stars on one site on attack, and they might be like, oh crap, the round hasn't even started yet, but they've got all these stars here, they're going to hard take this site, and then pull them all back, like for example, as soon as the round starts, and just execute somewhere else. That's entirely viable. Within 8 seconds, you can have all of your stars. 10. So yeah, I think that's the craziest thing. She can just get her stars back. But without that, I think she'd be honestly not nearly as playable. But with it, she's definitely one of the better characters in the game. And I guess that we can go into her ultimate now, which is the last ability we haven't looked at, and that is called Cosmic Divide, I think. Yeah, Astral Divide, Cosmic Divide. And as we saw it here, what she can do is she can pick like anywhere on the map. This isn't actually a wonderful example of it. And then she can sort of move around this wall at any angle she wants, and it'll cover the entire map, not just like this site. Like if she had placed it,
that's a bad ult.
Degrees, yeah. If she had placed it 90 degrees to the right or left, it would have just gone across the entire map. And it stays there for what, 30, 40 seconds?
It's pretty good. I don't know if it's that long. I feel like that would be crazy long.
I think it's 30, maybe 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Still, it's definitely longer than one of her smokes. And what this wall does is a couple crucial things. First off, it blocks bullets. It does not block abilities or people. So you can just walk through it, and you can flash through it, throw ults through it. But it does block bullets. And crucially, this is also another thing that Astra does that hasn't been seen before in the game. It blocks sound. Not entirely, but it dampens it substantially. So if you're not, like, basically right up against the wall, for example, you might not hear a plant on the other side. Depending on the kind of ult, you might not hear somebody ult on the other side. That changes a lot of dynamics. I would love to see how that specific aspect of the wall. But it can be a great way to, for example, set people up to get really close to the wall. And because they can't hear you get close, you can like flash, and suddenly where you thought there was no people, there's 5 people running at you. Or just divide a site and pray that they don't. So that pretty much sums up her abilities. I think she's a 7-point ultimate.
I think so. Yeah,
so
this ultimate's way too strong for.
Bro, if this was a 6-point ultimate, that's actually busted. Yeah.
It would be absurd. Yeah. But that pretty much sums up Astra's raw ability. What do we think of them? How do we think? Have you guys gotten to play Astra or played against Astra? How has she been used in your games? I've gotten to play her quite a bit. I tried to make a bit of a reel of me playing her, but then I realized, wait, I suck. So the reel wasn't very interesting, especially with Astra, because I'm having a hard time learning her. She plays very differently, which I was surprised about. It's not. And I've heard from a very reliable source, Dariy, that you are considering maining Astra, in fact, when she becomes legal in the. I want to get all of your guys' thoughts on how, if you've gotten to play against her, or how you think she will play in the long term.
I think Astra's an insane agent for IGL players because she opens up a lot of opportunities across the map. And if you're playing against a team that's lower rank, they tend to delay their push into the last possible moment. And if you are prepared for that, she's absolutely disgusting because she can stun and she can smoke off a lot of angles. One synergy that I haven't thought of until now is the ability for her to take back smokes.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen it used in this context, and I don't think anyone has done it yet, is Astra Yoru faking a site by pulling the smokes back and faking the footsteps. So you pop the two smokes, they last like 3 seconds. Whoever's on the site calms that they're coming to the site, they hear the steps. You're hitting a different site in the meantime.
Yeah.
And they're over rotating by that point. And I feel like that's pretty much disgusting.
Wonder if you could combo that with a Cosmic Divide too, so you can just straight knife out, sprint to the other site.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
I feel like it's very strong. Yeah. I haven't thought about that yet, or I just thought about that, but I don't know how well it executes. It's cool on paper.
One thing to mention as well is there's a lot of little places in the game where you can use that like 2-second smoke pull, which it doesn't seem incredibly useful, right? But a lot that you can do with it. First off, if the enemy thinks that that's a real smoke, they might try to play around it. Like you can throw it on bomb and then fake it as a real smoke, so they might try to stick it, for example, and then it goes away and you swing, for example. It's very hard to tell. I don't know if there's a different sound cue even, if it's real or it's fake. So for that like second and a half, they might not. But more importantly, one thing that I did get to use earlier, which I thought was really cool for her, is a classic on Haven, right? Will be you'll cage the cross at a long, with like a Cypher cage, for example, smoke, so that you can contact down a short, and you don't get spotted from somebody spotting a long. That wastes one of your util. Since that's such a short cross, you can actually get across with a fake smoke from Astra. If you get close to that corner, and then she puts down a star, and then pulls it back, you can run across as the smoke is dissipating. And it wastes no util to get you across, which is pretty big. That's something that we might see as more of like a standard thing if Astra comes into play, because right now everybody's having to waste some util. Not great.
I think Astra becomes the go-to smoker for any team.
I think so.
I don't think there is a world where Brimstone's definitely not as useful as Omen, in my opinion. I mean, in structured play, in solo queue, maybe Brimstone's better than Omen, but Omen's ability to teleport kind of sets him apart from Brimstone, because a lot of agents have post-plant delay. But I think that, yeah, Astra, once she becomes legal in smaller leagues, like university esports leagues and, I don't know, CSL, CEA, she's definitely going to be played by a lot of teams.
I'm interested to see what you think, Jason, because you're one of the, I mean, as like a semi-Killjoy player, right? You're one of the agents that definitely synergizes with Astra. But then you also play the super aggro style, which her massive ability to delay, like if you play Phoenix, for example, it's a massive pain to go up against an Astra that's unloading all her util on one site. Like if you have all of Killjoy and Astra util on one site, frankly, it's just unplayable. Like you just can't take that site. You have to go somewhere else.
I think it's like the majority of my ranked games are played as Sentinel because like no one ever wants to pick up the role of a Sentinel. I mean, generally speaking, but I actually see at first I thought, I think Astro is maybe like too broken. Like it's like I think in one of our scrims or matches you played Astro.
Back.
You're back.
Nice.
All right, let's
Hey, the VOD captured some moments. As you were saying, dude.
Yeah.
Something
Give us a quick
about...
summary, Jason, now that we're back on.
Okay, so essentially,
stream, dorm Wi-Fi.
Essentially what it is that in practically there's going to be in ranked games and not in non-professional leagues or like the higher, but practically there's not going to be many like there's not going to be much synergy between the characters in terms of ability usage. It's just going to be momentum pushing, and especially when it's just like 5 people are jumping out of the window, it's like so hard to defend against that. Like you can't really do much. Like 2 people are pushing this side at the same time, and they just go go go.
Yeah.
As a sentinel is anchoring site, I get so much anxiety. Like I actually start freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming from everywhere. And so, it's just one of those things where I think it's good. Like having her, like her abilities, I think it's good. I think it's really going to help out, like stopping like momentum push it, like stuff like that,
Absolutely.
So,
As a Sentinel player, I gotta say, having a gravity well there just makes things a little easier. Like
yeah.
stopping a 5-man push as a Sentinel is pretty darn hard.
Even like using her ult, like when they're on
Cutting
site,
the site.
yeah, when they're pushing onto site, being able
Mhm.
to like alt and like maybe get half the team in the wall and the other, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that
Just
might be
splitting
useful.
this team. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
splitting the team,
retakes.
maybe trying to like, make it so that you force 2 players out, you all, and then maybe you can get those 2 people, and then it's just a fight.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
You
I mean,
make a really
splitting
good
the site
point.
in Valorant is powerful. Just cutting out those
Yeah.
sight lines.
Yeah. So it's yeah, exactly. So like the question for me then becomes like how, like I think the type of gameplay that's rewarded in Valorant is one that like there's a momentum to it. There's like a push to it, and it's like people play fast. Like I think that's very rewarded than like, oh, I got 1 pick. Let's play around that. Like let's go slow and let's go, because it kills the momentum, right?
Mhm.
So
And I think you make some really good points that I just want to quickly touch upon. First off, like people seem to think that her wall is to stop pushes. Frankly, it just won't. If you wall off a choke point, they're just gonna run through it. Like they're gonna execute
that's
and they're
true.
gonna run through it. It won't stop
Yeah,
a
that's
push.
true.
But it's supposed to let your team play around the wall, which to be fair, it also works for them too. So that you can try to get a pick here or cross somewhere here or rotate around the map silently. Here's a really interesting one. You mentioned like cutting off a site. Here's a place where that could be super disruptive. Imagine like Ascent A site. No, not A site, B site. Ascent B site. What if you wall across like from Market? Like from Market, like across the site, so that it just cuts the site in half, including like back of site.
Oh, that could be really
That could
useful,
be so disruptive.
especially if they plan it for post plant, and if you can secure the site with the alt, they have to walk through it
Yeah.
if they're in, like hanging in mid or through the mid window, like
Exactly. Because like now you have to you can, if you wall across like horizontally across the site, you can pick which side you want to retake from essentially, and you're safe on the other side.
Yeah, if yeah, especially if they don't have too many people for like post plant, like you wall that, it's like it's pretty much, it's a very good defensive against post plant.
And something else as well is like we've been mentioning how you can set it up with like nades, for example, right? Like the killjoy nades on replant, have them run into it, and you can suck them in. You can also do that with people that know the nade lineups, because you can put it in from anywhere across the map and just toggle it. If your killjoy tells you I'm gonna nade plant spot, or I'm gonna nade this spot, you can just wait for that to happen, and then as soon as she tells you to, you place down a star, and a second later you toggle it, and there's nothing they can do.
That's so toxic.
So 1 second they're safe, and the next second they're gone.
On Ascent, like if you know somebody's playing Gen, star that gravity well. I just throw my post plant nades and they're done.
Yeah, Gen is a great spot. You can even do that for shock dart lineups. If they're playing anywhere near Gen, you can shock them into the specific, or you can pull them into the specific spot that the Sova tells you the shock darts will land on.
And they're done for.
It's
You'll
so
do
annoying.
500 damage to them.
It's just so annoying. Yeah, one shock dart. I wonder how much damage one shock dart would do to a fully vulnerable player.
Even if you just smoke the bomb and just shock dart it, like they won't see it. Like they might hear it, but like they won't see where it's coming from. And
what I've been doing a lot with the wall as well is that if it allows you, a lot of the times they won't, like if you're attacking, for example, and you try to use the wall as your main means of utility to take a site. Let's think, for example, bind a site. It was pretty common to do like those 5 smoke executes at some point in time, right? Or 4 at least, where you'd use like Omen and Brim, and you'd smoke off U-Haul site on top of the truck between the boxes, and you just like plant default, or you'd smoke like deeper. If you try to use a wall to do that and they actually respect it, the craziest thing about that is now you have 5 stars for post plant. You can keep everything smoked off forever. It's so annoying to playing against, because think of a site that only has 2 spots to retake from. Think like I don't know, A site on Haven. Am I thinking of A site? Yeah, A site on Haven. You have to retake from like spawn or from heaven, and they're both like on the same side. If you manage to wall off, am I thinking of the right site? Yeah, C is the one that has like the long angle. The ciphers just put their camera up and they stare down, right? A site's the other one. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you just wall off and you manage to take site cleanly, you can keep heaven and spawn smoked off for 40 seconds in post plant. That's absurd. Like, that's absurd. They have to retake through a smoke.
Yeah, that is very strong.
I don't know what you do against that, frankly. Like, I don't. If you give up sight to an Astra team that has not used her stars yet, I think you just lose post plant. Unless you have an ult to get them out of sight, like a killjoy.
Just 5-man rush one of those smokes. You know, they can't kill you all, right?
I mean, they can. as it
After the
turns out.
gravity well, you outside of the smoke, and then the killjoy nades pop, and the kill base.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been playing her quite a bit. I think she's really fun. But what I mentioned earlier, and I'll jump into this a little bit, I don't think that she plays like or like any other controller or smoke character in the game.
Yeah.
I can think. Like I've been trying to. What I love to do with Omen, right? I definitely on the A team especially play that sort of role where I'll be smoking across the map, not just where I'm playing. And for that role, I was like, okay, Astra's perfect because I can just throw that; it'll pop instantly, and I can just set those up beforehand even if I want to. And I know exactly what I'm working with. But I also love to use Omen smokes as something quick in front of me. I see an opportunity right there that I can press and I can play around the smoke, or I can lurk through an angle or something like that. Or we need to smoke right here, right now. Can't do that with us because you need to press X and go into your view and like zoom in, and you need to fly around. You're super vulnerable while you're in that state. Your body's just floating there. So that's something that I've noticed a lot. Is it really depends on your play style. I really don't think you can be any sort of aggressive Astra.
Yeah.
If you're util at least. Maybe if you're
I
just
think
gonna
it's
run and shoot
difficult.
people.
It's kind of like Breach, where you can set up for your team to push, but you ultimately won't be able to be the aggressor. Maybe
Yeah.
you can't, like, even with Omen, you can be aggressive, like,
Yeah.
but not with Astra. This is her abilities.
I think it's too slow to like set them up. But
Yeah, it
once
takes
you
too
have them
long.
up, you know, they pop quickly. But it's just
Yeah.
the setup. I think, yeah, just using Omen, he's a more of a spur of the moment kind of character. You can use his abilities like at a snap of a finger. And I
Mhm.
guess like Brim kind of occupies like that middle spot between Omen and Astra where
Mhm.
it takes a while for him to pull out his iPad and put a smoke down and like pull out his Molotov, but it doesn't take as nearly as long as Astra's abilities.
And even if you
He
ignore
can
like, the
also just
placement
go
time,
stim. Yeah, he could go
Yeah.
stim in
Oh,
beast mode.
yo, the stimmy.
Yeah, just throw it down and like get a couple of one taps.
Yeah.
You
The other
already
thing as well
know.
is like even if you ignore the placement time of Astra's util, it's frankly just disorienting. I mean, it takes you out in a completely different view, and you need to figure out, okay, wait, where am I? Where am I placing this? And then you come back and you're like, okay, this is where I was.
That sounds exactly like Omen's.
No, Omen, like it's your view. It's just purple or
Gotcha.
blue.
Mhm.
It's still terrible, which is why I don't
yeah.
play Omen. My brain I just can't wrap my head around that. That's why I
Anyway,
play Brim. I just use the
yeah.
iPad, yo.
Someone that's played hundreds of hours of Omen, I will tell you, obviously I'm biased, but I find it a lot easier to just go from Omen back to your view, like, immediately and just figure out, okay, this is what I need to do. You're back in, you're in the action. With Astra, it's like, the amount of times, and that's the other thing too, we've mentioned her dampening sound. While you're in your overview map, your sound is dampened. So you can't even necessarily hear if people are running up on you a lot of the time.
Mhm.
You can kind of hear it, but like kind of. The amount of times where I've been like, all right, guys, I got flanked. They get the first kill. I'm like, okay, now I'll execute on sight. And then I come out of my sight, and there's just like a Reyna staring at me. and
Yeah,
one-taps
you
me.
see,
I'm like, all right, cool.
that's that's exactly why you need a bind that just increases your system volume by 100%.
Yeah. Anytime you press X as Astra, it just
Yeah,
increases.
anytime you press X, it's just whoop right up.
That's funny. But I yeah, one thing that I have had a lot of success with is Astra and Killjoy combos. I almost feel like I like that better than Double Sentinel. Not only is there crazy setup potential, but if you have more of like a lurk sort of Astra, you can have the bot covering your flank, for example, as you're putting up your stuff, and there's no risk of you getting caught in. That's
Yeah.
super useful. You can just have your Astra be a dedicated lurk or flank watcher, basically, and set up all of the util for you. And from like in the span of 3 seconds, you go from having no util on a site to fully executed. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I want to pick her up, but it's a totally different style. I know you're not like a dedicated Omen player. You've played him a bit, but how does she? How does your playstyle with her differ from like Sage, for example?
Well, the only thing that I would say I played differently on her, and I've had to make a new account dedicated to her because I had to unlock. I didn't have. I didn't want to grind through like the 5 levels to unlock her, but I'm a big advocate, and I've been facing my climb in the game in a similar fashion. I just watch, literally just watch what the best people who play her do, and then I just copy it, like copy paste into my play style. I mean, obviously, like position and gunplay is important, but like in my mind, I'm like statistically analyzing what like the highest percentage angles are, and trying to synergize that with her abilities. So like the hookah pull and smoke is disgusting. There's also one on Ascent A site. It's a smoke right before the orb. You smoke it, you let them take the orb, and then you gravity them in the orb, like on top of the orb, and then there'll usually be like one or two, and people who push out wide, like past the smoke, or people who push into the smoke, will just get sucked in, and you can just get a couple of headshots there, which is very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at any of her like that. I really jumped. Like, all right, let me see how she feels to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe that's why she's felt. I don't know. It's almost like for me, theoretically, on paper, a lot of what she does seems totally busted and has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, I haven't had that much. I haven't had that kind of experience. Even when dueling up with Killjoys, for example, I've
Yeah.
found it almost somewhat rare that I'll get kills with like sucking some grenades. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
a lot of the times people are really ready for those Killjoy grenades now, or the Astra Star gives it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely ways to make it work. I haven't been effective with her as an individual player as I would have been. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think it's the kind of thing you're gonna need to use her in more of a structured matchmaking. Like I don't think you're
Yeah.
gonna be as good with her in matchmaking as you would be.
No, for sure
Yeah,
not.
agreed.
There's so much synergy that's needed.
You need
in
a
order
good team
to-
behind you.
Exactly. You do need a good team.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna ruffle things up. Like, do you think Astra is going to be nerfed? Or is it going to be like a Euro situation where it's like, yo, everybody thought Euro was going to be busted and then everybody figured out Euro and
Yeah,
now
nobody plays Euro anymore.
nobody plays them anymore. Is Astra going to be like Euro or is Astra going to be a mainstay in the game?
I don't think she's gonna get nerfed. Really? Maybe a tiny bit like here and there, but I don't think so. I think she's basically gonna stay as she is, and I think that she's gonna become top 5 8.
Yeah. I don't know what I would even change, honestly, because if you nerf her, then she's useless in
She's useless.
matchmaking. But if you buff her, then she's broken in like 5v5s, like customs. So I don't know. Maybe it's one of those agents that you just see pro teams using a lot, and then in matchmaking, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
It sort of
Yeah.
does feel like Riot has tried really hard to be like, why do people keep playing the purple man? Let's nerf him harder, harder, guys. We need to get them to play a different
Here's
agent.
the thing. Here's the thing. Why not just make Viper better, lol? I
That's
mean,
what I was gonna say.
Literally, Astra just made Viper a little more irrelevant. If you're
That's
gonna
what I was
pick a
about to say. Yeah,
controller.
they keep saying they
Yikes.
want Viper to be good, but then they do this. It's like I get it. The purple man is bad. You don't want them playing Omen in every single match ever, regardless of skill level. There's an Omen in every match ever. Pro teams or a silver, everyone has an Omen on their team. Maybe you'll have a Brim if he really wants to molly bomb from across the map, but it doesn't feel like this is helping the situation, honestly. Like Viper is not going to be more relevant because
Yeah, I think it just made Viper less relevant. I mean, what does Viper have that Astra doesn't? Really? I don't know. Like, okay, Viper can delay, but so can Astra.
it's basically just for lineups, honestly, I feel like. Or
Mhm.
if you have something very specific you want to do with walls across the map.
Yeah, and post plants.
Yeah,
Post
that's
plant
what I mean.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Astra has already post plant too. I mean, seeing as wait, you can pull people off of diffuse, right?
Yeah, but
It won't last as long as that.
yeah, it won't last as
the-
long as like if you
Viper
put
stuff.
your smoke, if you put your Viper smoke and then you do your molly,
Yeah,
like that's I feel like it's way more effective when you put those two together. It's
I
like
think so.
it
But I
kills
think
the
people will
turrets.
end up trading some of that post plant potential for a little more map control potential, like that
Yeah,
Astra
because
has.
Yeah.
like even though post plant's like a good thing, like it happens very rarely. It's only a handful of
Yeah.
rounds that it kind of leads to a post plant.
Yeah.
So
There are
Yeah, I
certain,
mean,
like-
post pan lineups. If you're playing for the lineup, I
Mhm.
mean, you're kind of like a losing situation already.
yeah,
So
you're
it's like
already it's a close game.
it's already a
generally.
close thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's
mean,
not the
you
case
can
for
only
Astra.
delay with lineups like for what? Like 10, 15 seconds at most.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's a fair comparison because like the Astra post plants have a very different setup than some of the lineup post plants, for example. Because first of all, you can toggle that from anywhere, so you don't need to run halfway across the map and be safe where like there's no chance you're gonna shoot them off a bomb. You can be literally on site and then pull them off a bomb if you're like hidden somewhere, or you're flanking or something like that. You don't need to give away your position. I don't think she makes any sound cues when she toggles her stuff, the enemy, so she can just do that. And like it's definitely not as effective in terms of just like dealing damage. They die on bomb. You definitely won't do that. But if you have 2 stars that are both going to pull them off a bomb, can you not just have like an internal clock? Like they tap bomb, you wait until it's just before half, and then you pull them off?
Yeah, but that's so like not like intuition, but it's so luck. It used to be like, oh, like even well, I mean, I guess if you hear it, you're just like, okay,
Yeah, you say
wait a
luck,
few
I hear
seconds,
skill. I don't know.
and then do it. Yeah, no, but the thing is, it's just like it's true that it is skill, but even when you're doing like post plant mollies and stuff, it's like it takes time for whatever molly you shoot to get on the ground. So you have to time that, right? And you have to time it before they nade. So it's like, okay, well, when do I do it? It's like, do it now. Because it's like in 5 seconds, they'll probably start defusing the bomb. And then maybe you can like, maybe that molly will like, you know what I mean? And so, like, and even then, like, depends on the situation. Like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it too much, but like it depends on the situation. Like it depends if you're playing post plant, if it's like a 2v1 or 3v, like it depends on the amount of people. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Arguably speaking, yeah, it could be really good.
It definitely seems a lot harder to master. Like it's not just search up video on YouTube, stand in spot, look at leaf, throw.
Yeah, and then like about the right designated time.
Look at 36 leaf on the second tree to the left. Align the left section of the HUD that pokes up at a 95-degree angle. Yeah. That's
definitely
great.
seems harder. But I could definitely see some pro Astra players out there in the future. And I could see it becoming pretty mainstream. It might
one of them is named Dariy.
Yeah, honestly, though,
yeah, dude.
Yo, I cannot wait for Dariy to just start sending boys to the Shadow Realm with Astra.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, historically, it's been the kind of case where you have some agents where when you come up against a person that has 300 hours logged on that agent, the next closest agent is like 2 hours, and it's because they played it in a pug once. It's like, okay, that's terrifying. Like, if you're going up against like a pro Killjoy, even to a certain extent, maybe like a pro Sova that knows every lineup on the map or something, that can be very scary to play against. I could see Astra becoming one of those. Or Pro Cypher, maybe. I could see Astra becoming. That's scary. We don't need any more of this team.
Just nerf all the agents. Make them useless.
What if we just get rid of the agents and add grenades in instead? That might work.
And then flashes, and then
why don't we just make Valorant CS:GO? Like,
wait, then the game would be fun. We can't have that. We can't have that.
No. CS:GO and fun do not belong in the same sentence. There's a negative in there.
Okay, so here's the question then that I want to sort of ask for us to wrap up. Then we've talked about how we think she plays as an agent, right? And stuff. How do we think that's going to impact either of our teams? Does the B team have intentions to run Astra?
Dary's literally, come on, we need him.
Hopefully I'll play her.
I mean,
Sage
it might not.
Sage just got so much value for me right now that I don't see me giving her up anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends when she becomes legal, because, well, bad news, but we're done with CSL after our run. I don't know how to break the news to everybody, but we lost against Clemson Purple, the seed directly below us, and we lost by a matter of 2 rounds on each game. Like, we went into triple overtime the first map bind, right? We didn't make it overtime and Ascent, which is unfortunate, but it happens.
But okay, so if you were to run it, right, assuming it's Dariy, would you still have an Omen?
Nah, we'd just have Dariy doing smokes, I think.
What would the Omen be playing then? Would he go to Sage?
Who's playing what?
Pystrom could go to Sage.
Pystrom could. I kind of want him to. Are we really leaving out the Sage? I kind of want to say leave out the Sage and bring in, just have Pystrom on Breach, Bobber and Sova. I'll play Killjoy, and then we have Missile as.
I like that lineup a lot.
We do give up. I mean, we give up a Sentinel. Well, we still have a Sentinel, but we give up Sage for Astra, which is basically.
But you're putting a lot of faith in your Astra, because now she's doing not just the job of an Omen or a Sage, she's doing both.
Yeah, but Dary's immortal, so it doesn't matter.
That helps a lot.
That definitely
Pystrom is tuning in from chat, and he said, I think I have a total of 30 minutes on Sage.
Yeah,
So, it might
so-
not be-
Pice
yeah.
from Sage main.
I
For
mean, I
sure.
played a lot of Sage in beta. Like, only played Sage, and I don't know if I really want to go back to that lifestyle. I think the Killjoy lifestyle.
That lifestyle, yeah.
Killjoy lifestyle is pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been smurfing a lot now. Like on my second account on unrateds, and okay,
Must be
here's the
fun.
thing.
You just
It-
be
it-
laying it down on them, you know. What I mean?
Well,
Like, that's
yes,
what it
but
is.
also I completely get caught off guard by pretty much anything because people in unrated with like unranked accounts just have
Special.
special brains. I mean, I can drop 30 in a game, still won't win because they're just doing things that I would never expect.
One does not win in unrated.
Hey, I think I need to ask some of the people who play unrated on their unranked accounts to just
Bro,
play
the
on
best
the B team.
the best players I've ever played against have like a full silver triangles and
Dude, the-
like are currently plat 2. Like they're the best players in the world.
yes.
I don't understand how, but they just are. It's just like missile. All of them are in plat. But anyway, to wrap up the conversation from earlier, so what about you, Jason? What do you think as a potential kill? Let's say you're playing a Sentinel on the A team. Would you want to see an Astra instead of an Omen?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Oh, I guess
You'd
I
like
guess
that?
Gabe's
Okay.
It just from a Sentinel standpoint, Astro is just 10 times better than Omen, just from like a Sentinel perspective.
Yeah,
Like,
let's go. Sentinel life, my boys.
Yeah, like it's just too much. Like it's just it's too much. Like you
You
need
can't
someone.
stop a hard rush.
Yeah, and you can't
by
stop.
yourself.
But then if you have like 5 smokes like, out, for, like that takes so much time and momentum off of them that they can't
Yeah.
just like they're either gonna have to push the smoke, which is our advantage, or they just sit there.
By then,
Hey,
Daniel's in their
Yeah,
spawn.
dude. 5
Yeah,
smokes
but-
is so insane when you think about it. Brim has 3. Omen can do 4, I think, like over the course of the entire game.
Yeah, maybe like 5.
Yeah,
4 or
but-
5.
Yeah, even then, I don't think like
But the cooldown is longer on
it's the
Omen.
white is a lot longer. Yeah, and did the smokes last longer or no? On Astro or no?
Let me
They
actually
last
search
5
it up.
seconds longer than the Omen smokes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They last
literally-
about
yeah.
the brims. With Astra,
Yeah.
Astra is the only character in the game where you can keep 2 angles smoked off simultaneously for 40 seconds, or 1 angle smoked off for a minute and like what 20, a minute 40 or something stupid. You can keep 1 angle smoked off the
Broken.
entire round,
Literally broken, dude.
like the
Literally
entire
broken.
round. If you really wanted to, and they could your team could lock down the other angles, you could smoke that 1 angle off the entire round, the entire game. You could just keep that 1 angle smoked.
It is. I guess you can kind of say it's broken, but like I've tried to hold sites where 5 things of util are thrown at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not holding this.
No, that's when
Yeah.
you just go. You just run.
So although the
Nothing you can do.
smokes,
Play
although the
retake.
smokes are good, like when if Sova raise, like if everyone just like use all their util, like raise bot, the drone, like grenades, if everything just goes all at once, it's like
Yeah, you just run out of the site. You play retake.
GG's. Like
POV,
literally.
you're
Yeah.
anchoring a site and 5
Yeah.
stars appear around you.
Oh,
Nah, I
it's
think
too
I'm good.
much.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'll be in
it's
spawn.
literally- it's
You're
just
done
too
for.
much.
You can't do anything
Yeah.
about it.
And it's not even like it's not like the util. It's like they haven't like hurt you or haven't killed you, but it's a psychological effect. It's like it gets
Yeah.
to you. You're like, oh my, I'm about to be bum rushed right
Yeah.
now. Like it. So yeah, I think it's good. I think Astro is definitely going to be like up there. And in terms of a team, like the A team is kind of a mess in terms of team comp.
Kind
So I've heard.
It's pretty, it's pretty
Last
bad.
we did,
Um,
last official, I think we did. No, we had a breach, right? Last official.
yeah. we did.
No way. Is that
Oh,
optimum
God
on the?
forbid. I think it was, yeah.
Yo, let's
Optimum came in
go.
clutch, 100%.
Yeah, but it was still 3 duelists, a breach, and an omen. That's still absurd.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe give up one of your duelists for something else. Just one of them.
Don't
I know
worry.
it's
The
gonna hurt.
long-term plan is, I mean, for now at least, the plan is optimum going permanently on Sova or breach, depending on map.
Interesting.
I think.
Some people like I know people who have very slow gameplay, and our A team is just not like that. Like I know people
Yeah.
who play slow, and for that Sentinel is great. Like they play at their own pace, and they can get picks and really do stuff. But like I can't play like that. Like
Yo,
like
BT vibes pushing
yeah.
20 seconds left into the round. Let's go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I don't think 18. I don't think
No.
18 like most 18 players like Falsia, or even Gabe, Optimum have that.
I would
kind of-
peek, but I'd miss.
We don't
I'd
play
die.
slow. It doesn't matter if I miss. Then you'll refrax me, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with the sentiment. I think it'd be really interesting, especially since honestly, historically, our defense sides have kind of let us down a lot of the time. And I'm way more comfortable. I'm consider myself a defense player. Like I'm so much more comfortable on defense than I am on offense. Even though on offense you kind of get to control the pace of the game. I think I'm at my best when I get to anchor my one sight, my one angle, and just say they will never. I love doing that with Omen. Doing that with Astra is really fun. Doing that with Astra and Killjoy. Now that's rough to play.
I can't wait.
I honestly don't
That's-
think though. Like I think it's gonna be really beneficial, but I don't even know if the A team really gets together enough for us. Like, because that okay, then maybe it would just be me and you instead of the whole team.
Yeah.
And we can like line up. I think that'd be like because like we don't really, we don't.
No.
Yeah, do some one-on-ones.
Yeah, like the
No.
A team. Yeah.
You guys even play Valorant? Like,
I've been playing it like today and yesterday. That's about it though.
yeah,
I don't
so
really
I play this game way too much. I think I have a problem, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I also have a very big problem with having close games and not being able to rank up. So I'm gonna cry about that. Like, I think if you look at my match history, close games, all losses, makes me cry.
Yeah, I think it's slightly because I'm trying to like look at like the future of Valorant, and it looks like the game is becoming less about the skill play and the gunplay, and it's more becoming about the
Utility.
utilization of abilities.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like it's becoming, and it's I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I never liked
Interesting.
I never liked Rainbow. It was just like too much. It was just like
So abilities.
yeah, I don't have the brain, bro. You just I
Yo.
see someone, I click, and that's it. Like,
You're
it's
kind
just-
of
I
right.
don't want.
No,
I don't want.
I
like,
was just suddenly
20
reminded.
things happening.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Suddenly
not-
reminded in every game that I've played that's like an FPS game, I almost never use my abilities. Like I just shoot people.
Yes.
Valorant is the only game where I am forced to use my abilities because they
Yeah.
play like such a big role in the game.
It took me thousands of hours to like grow accustomed to like the 4 nades in CS to like get to use them properly. Bro, there's like
Yeah.
every month there's new abilities in Valorant. Like I can't do that. I'll retire. I'll
Yeah.
retire
Too
once
many-
they hit
and
like 20
It is
agents.
only going to get more complex.
It is.
The more agents they add. Like
Could
I
you
can't wait
imagine
for
it
there
if
to
it
be
got to like
100
League of
agents.
Legends? Like if it got to
Oh
the League
my-
of Legends levels of characters, like
yeah.
Bro,
I would not play.
I can't wait for Viper to be OP, Reyna to be completely nerfed, Omen to be nowhere across the map, Astra to be just absolutely busted. Can't wait to see what the meta shapes out like once we get tons and tons of agents, and maybe a pick ban system, please.
Oh
Anyway,
yes, no, they
yes,
have to
that'd be
implement
big.
that. They have to implement that.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for a Killjoy to be banned, so I can't ever play her ever.
Yeah.
So I think
Bad.
we have been running for a while now. We're at the 1 hour mark. I know Dariy has a hard out that he has to go here. So let's go ahead and wrap up. I want to get to conclude here. One thought from each of you, and let's try to keep it brief if we can. How do we think this will affect the future of the game? What do you see coming soon? Do we think everybody's going to be asking for a nerf for Astra? Do we think that it's really not going to be played in matchmaking much? What do we think?
Brimstone play rate drops to 0 in Masters. Astra play rate like 70 to 80%. Omen play rate like 20%. TSM, who ran Omen Brimstone earlier in Challengers, will run Omen and Astra once, and that's my prediction. And it's not going to work out, and they'll never run it again.
All right. Wow, bold predictions. That's recorded throughout the internet, and we will call
We'll
you
come
back
back
to
to
tell
that.
you you're wrong. We'll
Yeah,
tell you you're
we'll
wrong.
have you call in when you're
Mhm.
wrong.
Okay, we'll see.
What about you,
think-
Phillip?
Jason?
What do you think?
Oh, me.
Yes, you.
I'm
Phillip.
thinking Astra, we're gonna see a lot of that in college play once she's unbanned. Then in pro play, I gotta say I'm gonna stick with Dariy, like nearly like 70-80% utilization. If you're not running her, you're probably gonna run an Omen. I don't think Brim is useful anymore now that Astra's out, and Viper is completely useless.
Mhm.
What about you, Jason? Hot take.
I think like in the beginning, like Sage was universally picked. Like she was number one, like in the beginning. I think for this act, until she's nerfed, I think Astra's gonna have that same role where she's always gonna be at least top 5, like at least. Like her abilities are just too like OP, and like especially for top teams and stuff, she's definitely gonna be up there. And like yeah, Brim's just, I think Brim, like Viper's already basically gone. Like no one even, I forgot Viper existed for a second,
Yeah.
but like I think Brim's also gonna start going.
The
Yeah, I think-
rework's coming. The Viper rework's coming. They told us.
Yo.
Oh,
well,
for
like,
sure,
Let's see.
yeah.
Hopefully,
Mhm.
hopefully something changes.
Come on, can we get a Brim rework too? I just want to play the old man, please. Like, give him
Yeah.
4 smokes or something.
The Viper
Yeah.
rework is going to be like removed Viper, renamed Astra to Viper, recolored Astra.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
Viper rework.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No,
Well,
Astra's just
I have
gonna
a-
be number one.
yeah. I have a quick question. Like, what do you guys think about Astra in like matchmaking? Is it gonna be a big hit, or
I don't think
people
so.
just gonna stick to the? I
Mm.
honestly think people are just gonna stick to the basics.
I think so too.
Mhm.
Like
And
I'm
every
still gonna
Astra
play
player
Brim.
you come up against is either not going to frag, or if they frag, it's because they're not using their abilities to their fullest. They're just running in and shooting people.
Yo, I mean, at the rank I'm at, which is currently gold 3, I haven't seen a good Astra. So honestly, I don't know. Either
neither.
people are gonna learn Astra, or people are just gonna never know how to use Astra. So
But was that what
Yeah.
ends up happening is like rarely, like in public queuing matches, you rarely see good sentinels, like usually they're like
Wow,
cracked
thank you for
jets,
tracking me.
cracked immortal,
Yeah.
cracked
Phoenixes.
jets, cracked Reynas, just carrying the whole team on their back. It's never, oh, I'm so afraid of this Killjoy. It's just like, oh, okay, Killjoy is just all right, cool.
Where's she
Mhm.
playing?
That's
Let's
just
go
what
there.
it is.
Killjoy.
Exactly. That's what
I
it
feel
is.
completely bullied. Yeah. Here's my matchmaking experience. Team MVP, bottom frag. No in between.
Yeah.
I literally just I'm either hot or I'm cold.
Mm.
Mhm.
Wait, you guys are getting MVPs? Can't relate.
I probably should go to sleep or something. Every time I get good nights of sleep, I team MVP. I wonder what's
Listen,
going on.
I don't think you need it. Playing Killjoy is resident sleeper already.
Yeah, grind. dude.
Anyway, and I think with
it's
that,
better than Cypher.
I think with that, much like the darkness that I am enveloped in, we must say goodbye to the stream and leave you in darkness because we have hit our 1 hour mark. Dariy is to go, and so do we. Thank you guys all for coming on. Thank you guys who have watched from home, or I guess, maybe you're somewhere else, but probably home. And I think with that, we will see you next time. Next time will be Wednesday the 24th. So tune in on March 24th, same time. It will be daylight savings time by then, but it'll still be 5 p.m. EST for another episode of Showstopper with the BU Gaming Club. I have been your host, Gabriel Moncau, and we will see you guys next time.
Now we're down to just 2 players with a bomb down.
Falsely finding 3, 4. Will we see the ace from Falsey this round?